Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the Ohio University ceremonial mace, which is carried by the Chair of the Faculty Senate, Dr. Joe McLaughlin. The arrival of the mace marks the official opening of this Ohio University commencement ceremony. We ask that you remain standing for the procession of the platform party, the presentation of the colors, and the singing of our national anthem.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ohio University's annual commencement exercises. As a member of the Ohio University Board of Trustees, I am privileged to convene this, the 2017 graduate commencement ceremony, and to welcome the graduates who are being honored today, members of their families, and their friends. Now, I am pleased to introduce the presentation of the colors, which will be escorted by our Army and Air Force ROTC. Following the presentation, please join Ms. Alexandra Perkins, who graduates this morning with a master's degree in music, for the singing of our national anthem. She will be accompanied by the Ohio University Wind Symphony under the direction of Dr. Andrew Traxel, Associate Professor of Music and Director of Bands. Now I ask you to please remain standing.
Stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave
Please be seated. Welcome, graduates, on this glorious morning. As interim president of Ohio University, and on behalf of our faculty and staff, I'm delighted to welcome family, friends, and most especially, our graduates to this morning's commencement ceremony. As we begin this ceremony, I would like to recognize the distinguished guests who are with us this morning. I ask that they stand as I introduce them and remain standing. Audience, please hold your applause until all guests have been introduced. Please join me in welcoming members and officials of Ohio University's Board of Trustees, our academic officials, our administrative officials, representatives of our university senates, our distinguished professors, our honorary degree recipient, David Crane, and our speaker for this morning's commencement, the 2016 Outstanding Graduate Faculty Member, Dr. Risa Whitson. You've already met, in fact, have heard the important people seated behind the platform party, the Ohio University Wind Symphony and Dr. Traxel. I also would like to acknowledge some special guests who are seated to my left in the lower balcony. We are thrilled to have Ohio University's 21st President and First Lady, Dwayne and Ruthie Nellis, with us this morning. This is the first of many Ohio University commencements to come for the Nellises. I know they are elated to share this special day with the class of 2017. Thank you again, Dr. Nellis and Ruthie Nellis. Seated with Dr. and Mrs. Nellis in the lower balcony are also members of my executive staff, spouses, significant others, family members, and guests of our platform party members. Let's give them all a hand. Now, with the fine faculty, the excellent faculty of Ohio University, please stand and be recognized. On behalf of our graduates, thank you for your creativity, your passion, your dedication. You have prepared this next generation of thinkers, leaders, scholars, and innovators to succeed in their chosen fields. Thank you for all you do each and every day and for your commitment to our students, these graduates, and Ohio University. It is now my pleasure to invite Dr. Pam Benoit, our Executive Vice President and Provost, to announce the 2017 Outstanding Graduate Faculty Award recipient, Dr. Benoit.
Good morning, and welcome graduates and guests. As the Chief Academic Officer of Ohio University, I'm pleased to come before this assembly today in honor of your accomplishments. We also recognize the work of faculty who challenged and encouraged you to achieve your goals. While many deserve our gratitude, we take this time to recognize one who embodies the dedication, the determination, and teaching excellence. Established in 1972, the Outstanding Graduate Faculty Award honors a professor who has demonstrated exemplary performance as an instructor, a researcher, and a faculty member. And each graduate department nominates one of its faculty for the award. This year's Outstanding Graduate Faculty Award recipient is Dr. Devika Chawla. Dr. Chawla, will you please stand? Dr. Chawla is a professor in the School of Communication Studies. Her research focuses upon communicative, performative, and narrative approaches to studying family, home, and its relationships to social identity. Specifically, she is interested in understanding how human beings transform themselves in the relationships that surround them and the resources, social, political, economic, that are available to them. Most of her research has taken place in the context of contemporary urban India. She has studied women's identities and Hindu arranged marriages. Her recent book project has focused upon cross-generational refugee identity among families displaced in India's partition of 1947. Dr. Chawla has published 4 books, numerous articles in top-ranked journals and anthologies. She's taught graduate courses in communication theory, post-colonial studies, performance studies, critical ethnography, and qualitative research methods. She's very deserving of this award given her commitment to graduate students and graduate education. Please join me again in congratulating her, our outstanding graduate faculty member for 2017.
Thank you, Dr. Benoit. I also want to congratulate Dr. Chawla, who is a faculty member in the School of Communication Studies and a colleague of both Dr. Benoit's and mine. We're really, really pleased to hear this news. I now have the honor and privilege of conferring an honorary degree upon David Michael Crane. A graduate of Ohio University, Mr. Crane is a world-renowned legal scholar who spent most of his career working for the United States government and the United Nations. Over the course of his distinguished career, Mr. Crane has shed light on many human rights atrocities and gained the respect and admiration of many, including his alma mater. Mr. Crane, please join me at the podium. Trustee Scholl and Dr. Benoit, please come forward to assist with the conferral of this degree.
The citation for the honorary degree, Doctor of Laws, reads, Mr. David Crane is a world-renowned expert in the fields of international law, international criminal law, international humanitarian law, and national security law. Over the course of his distinguished career, he has been responsible for holding accountable those who have violated human rights, shedding light on human rights atrocities, upholding and enforcing international criminal law, and providing legal review for United States worldwide intelligence operations. Mr. Crane, who earned a Bachelor of General Studies degree with a major in history in 1972, a Master of Arts degree in African Studies from Ohio University in 1973, and a Juris Doctorate degree from Syracuse University in 1980, has been a legal scholar for the United States government and the United Nations. During his 30-year career with the United States federal government, Mr. Crane held many esteemed positions, including Judge Advocate for the United States Army, Assistant General Counsel of the Defense Intelligence Agency, Founding Director of the Office of Intelligence Review in the Department of Defense, and additionally, he served as the Waldemar A. Solf Professor of International Law and Chairman of the International Law Department in the United States Army, Judge Advocates General School. This takes a long time to say all these. During his tenure in these positions, he prosecuted cases on behalf of the United States, educated attorneys on international humanitarian law, and oversaw investigations into acts of terrorism and international aggression. Upon retirement from the federal service, Mr. Crane was appointed by Kofi Annan, the United States Secretary General, as the founding chief prosecutor of the Special Court for Sierra Leone, a tribunal led jointly by the government of Sierra Leone and the United Nations. Serving with the rank of Undersecretary General, Mr. Crane was responsible for evaluating and prosecuting individuals who bore the greatest responsibility for crimes against humanity and violations of international human rights that occurred during the Civil War in Sierra Leone from 1991 to 2002. And in this capacity, Mr. Crane secured an indictment for Charles Taylor, then the president of Liberia, in 2003. Ultimately, Mr. Crane's work contributed to the successful conviction and subsequent imprisonment of now former President Taylor in 2013. This marked both the first time a sitting African head of state was indicted for war crimes, and only the second time in history that a former head of state was convicted of war crimes. Currently, Mr. Crane is the founder and vice president of the I Am Syria campaign, which provides education to the world regarding the current Syrian conflict. This organization, overseen by the Syracuse University College of Law, where Mr. Crane serves as professor of practice, raises awareness of human rights abuses, documents potential war crimes, provides objective analysis of materials and documents associated with the crisis, and catalogs important information that may one day be pertinent to international bodies of law involved in future war crimes prosecutions. Mr. Crane also was founded has also founded Impunity Watch, a law review journal and news reporting site that examines and exposes impunity issues and human rights violations. The website is used by government officials, non-governmental organizations, and international lawyers, among others. For his keen insight, work in matters of national and international importance, steadfast commitment to seeking justice for those who have experienced human rights abuses, and unwavering devotion to promoting and elevating humanity, Mr. Crane is exceptionally qualified to receive an honorary degree from Ohio University.
David Crane, on the recommendation of the faculty and by the authority vested in me by the Ohio University Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you the honorary degree Doctor of Laws, with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto.
Wow. I want to thank Interim President David Duskutner and the Board of Trustees for this honor. I've received many honors, to include Ohio's Medal of Merit, but to receive an honorary degree from your alma mater is so very, very special. My life and all it has stood for began here at Ohio University. I learned the joy of learning, of standing up for what is right, to be a critical thinker, to become a leader and manager. And I learned the importance of lifelong friendships, and most importantly, the true meaning of love, a love that has lasted over 45 years. That seems a lot in 5 years, but this place, nestled in the hills along the Hocking River, Ohio University, prepares you for a life you will all live, bolstered by what you received from now your alma mater. I will close with a quote from that great Kemetic philosopher, George Carlin. It's okay, it's not that bad. Life is not measured by the number of breaths we take, but by the moments that take our breath away. My hope for you is that those moments are many and often. Congratulations on your achievement today, and I thank you for allowing me to come back to Ohio University to have another breathtaking moment in my life. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations again, Dr. Crane, who is a proud graduate of University College. It is now my honor to introduce our commencement speaker, Dr. Risa Whitson. Dr. Whitson is an associate professor in the Department of Geography and the Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies program. Her research focuses on the social geographies of gender, work, and social reproduction. She's particularly interested in how non-standard relations and in particular informal work, constitute an important element of changing economic structures and gender performances. Most of her research has taken place in the context of contemporary Argentina, although she has also conducted research here in the United States. Dr. Whitson has published numerous articles in top-ranked journals and has taught upper-level courses in social geography, gender and development, and global feminism for over a decade. A committed graduate faculty member, mentor, and scholar. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Risa Whitson.
Thanks to President DeScutner for the really kind introduction. I'm so delighted to be here today and to give you my congratulations along with all the other faculty here. I share in the joy and honor that your family, friends, and faculty feel in your graduation. In preparing for this address, I spent a lot of time, like the entire last year, actually reflecting on what has made my work meaningful, both my research and teaching. And I recognize that a lot of my time and energy has been devoted to counting, or maybe not to actually counting, but to thinking about counting. What we count, the way we count, and what should count. So as Dr. DeScutner mentioned, my research for a number of years was focused on informal work. And in basic terms, informal work is under-the-table work. So that's work that's not reported to or recognized by the government as work, but passes unnoticed. So in some ways, the definition of this work is work that is not counted by the government. And sometimes this work isn't counted because employers or workers don't want it to be counted. So someone who's self-employed might not want to pay taxes, or employers might not want to pay health insurance or Social Security, this type of thing. But often this work isn't counted because people don't recognize what they're doing as work. They might work out of their homes, maybe making food, running a convenience store, teaching piano lessons, selling cosmetics, and they just don't see what they do as real work. Maybe they do labor and construction, day labor, and it's precarious and it isn't a regular income, so they don't think of this as formal, real work. I interviewed a man a number of years ago in Buenos Aires who worked as an informal garbage collector. This is what some people might call a garbage scavenger or a trash picker. And he and his wife made a living from collecting recyclable goods that people had put out with their trash, right, with their regular trash on the street. And I recall that he told me he would prefer to work formally if he could. He said, "I want to do this for my kids, for everything, for myself. I don't like picking trash. I'm ashamed to do it, to have to go around doing this. What I want is a job as a carpenter or a painter. I'm ashamed to go into the street with my kids collecting trash. I'm ashamed for my kids." Well, this man and many other informal recyclers that I spoke to were ashamed of their work. Something that was really notable to me at the time that I did these interviews was that there was a huge economic crisis occurring in Argentina at this time, and this kind of work was being done by thousands of people, and it was a really important source of work for many families. And importantly, it was also the only way that any recycling was occurring in the city at the time. So from this perspective, this informal work that this man was ashamed of was really making a valuable contribution to the city, to everybody that lived in the city, to the environment, and like in numerous ways. But because it was informal, it was uncounted, it was unrecognized, he didn't perceive it as valuable work. And even more than this, at the time, this was a really marginalized occupation, and it was even criminalized by the government. Counting something as work is a recognition of its meaningfulness to society. Ella Bhatt, who is the founder of the Self-Employed Women's Association, which works with over 2 million women who are informal workers in India, has said that when we don't count workers, we don't plan for them. And when we don't plan for them, we leave them outside of society. So not being counted is more than simply not receiving recognition. In many cases, it implies being left outside of society, being marginalized, being invisible. For me, thinking about what counts as work is just really the first step in asking who counts as a contributing member of our society? Whose lives count as important? Do undocumented migrants count? Do Black lives count? Do people who identify as transgender count? Do people with disabilities count? Who matters to our society? Who's valued by our society? Of course, I'm not the first person in the world to argue that counting is important to our society. In 1968, Bobby Kennedy expressed the same sentiment in a speech he gave where he was talking about the gross national product, or the GNP, which is a really common measure of economic development. And he said that while GNP measures all sorts of things that are destructive and bad for our society, like pollution, jails, locks on our doors to keep us safe, nuclear warheads, the destruction of the environment, TV shows that glorify violence. What he said was, and this is a quote, you'll know because it's like super beautifully said, but he said, "It does not include the beauty of our poetry or the strength of our marriages, the intelligence of our public debate or the integrity of our public officials. It measures neither our wit nor our courage, neither our wisdom nor our learning, neither our compassion nor our devotion to our country. It measures everything, in short, except that which makes life worthwhile." What our governments, organizations, and institutions decide to count is fundamentally important to how we think about ourselves as individuals and our place in the world. It forms the basis for what we study, what policies we make, and how we govern. In the end, it determines what kind of world we choose to create. So what if we counted differently? Of course, counting isn't just something that our government, businesses, and institutions do. It's something that as individuals we do in our everyday lives. So for those of you who are graduating, who've been graduate instructors, you may have heard your students ask, "Is this going to count? Does this count?" We've all heard this. I'm sure none of you ever said it. And this is something that as instructors and professors we make jokes about, the idea that the only thing that counts in our class is what's going to be counted on the final grade. And I'm sure there are funny memes about this on social media that all of you could find, but it would take me like 3 days to find, and the help of my children probably. But oddly enough, after we leave school, while we make fun of this, after we leave school and we enter into the professional world, we all continue to ask ourselves this question. As we write our CVs or our resumes, we think about what will count to our future employers. Once we have jobs, we think about our annual evaluations, and we're advised to, and we make sure to focus on things that are going to count for a favorable evaluation. And while academia is unique from other types of jobs in certain aspects, as professors, we're evaluated as well. And while we might think it's frivolous for our students to ask if something counts, we nonetheless constantly ask ourselves this own question. So for me, this means, does serving on a student's committee in a department other than my own count as much as serving on one in my own department? Does writing a well-written and thoughtful article that takes me years to construct count as much as something I write quickly and that might repeat some of the arguments I presented elsewhere? Is it worthwhile for me to spend time listening to, helping, and mentoring graduate students when I could be writing grant applications? Does this count? Does this work count? We might not use these words, but we're nonetheless asking this question. On top of all of this, all workplaces are increasingly adopting metric-based accounting systems designed to count our tasks and hours. A professor of media studies named Annalie Brandstrand-Ullman has argued that in the context of the university, this is a shift from content to counting, in which we report marketable outcomes in a quantifiable nature. One of the most important aspects of this counting culture is that what we choose to count as an institution is intimately connected to who we see ourselves as being. We interpolate ourselves into the metric framework. In other words, we define ourselves by what we count, so that the goal of the organization or the institution that we work for, or the government, or whatever institution is counting us, becomes our own yardstick for measuring ourselves and our self-worth. So like the informal garbage recycler who I quoted earlier saw his work as worthless and shameful, this is a reflection of how this work is seen by his government. So the questions of, am I productive as a worker in the metric use to measure my work transforms into the question of, is my life meaningful? Am I a worthwhile person? We internalize the metric and impose it upon ourselves. While we count and upload our progress, this counting informs our identities and changes our interactions with others. And of course, this counting culture doesn't exist in the university, it exists in all workplaces and at all levels. So as graduate students, I'm certain that it was not absent from your lives either. But what if we counted differently? What if instead of counting articles published or grants applied for, we counted thank you notes received, friendships formed, collaborations forged? About 2 years ago, I collaborated with some colleagues at other universities to write an article about this idea of counting culture. And as a part of this process, I decided to start counting what mattered in my work differently. I decided to intentionally stop doing things that would add to my metrics, but that I didn't feel like were actually improving my research or my teaching. And I decided to spend the time that I would have been doing those things, and this is going to sound really corny, and luckily I can't see many of you, so if you laugh, then that's okay. I won't even know. But I just decided to spend the time that I would have spent doing those things in responding to my students with love. And I actually said that in one of my unit's faculty meetings, and I think it was probably around this time of year. Many of you are grading, right? You're probably like, I don't love this. This is not an act of love. But so my colleagues looked at me like I was a little bit crazy, and maybe I was crazy. But what I really wanted to do was try to count things differently, and for me this meant counting relationships I made with my students, my collaborators, and my research participants as important. And that meant not approaching these people as a metric, as part of what they could do in the metric that I was evaluated by, but approaching them as human beings. And so with my students, this meant really valuing and giving time to the small conversations I had with them, or the opportunities to give them advice on work that might not even have been for my own class, or to talk to them about their goals for the future. And these are things that all of the faculty in this room do, and they're not really recognized. It's hard to recognize these things on a metric, right? So they're not recognized by the metrics that we're evaluated by. But I decided to make meaningful, caring relationships my metric, and I think that this approach made a difference in my life and improved the quality of my research and teaching. And I also realized at this time that what had been most important to me in my work as a professor at this university has been my own personal version of informal, uncounted, and invisible work. Just like the informal workers and informal garbage recyclers that I spent a good portion of my career studying. My informal work, of course, includes my work as a mother, as a friend, as a community member. But in the context of the university, it also includes our work that I do and that we all do that isn't easily counted by a metric of productivity. For example, like many of the faculty in both of my departments and outside of my departments, I work quite a lot with students in interdisciplinary programs. And in particular, I work with students in the Center for International Studies. Where are you guys? Are you listening? Yeah, okay. They're little, but they're mighty back there. The other, for those of you that aren't familiar with this unit, other than the directors of the undergraduate and graduate programs, there aren't any faculty that are dedicated to this unit. So all of us are housed in other units, and we just work with the interdisciplinary programs like international studies, environmental studies. Since we're evaluated in our home units, it really is a serious question to faculty such as myself that work with these interdisciplinary units. Does this work going to count? We don't have to do it. It won't be held against us if we don't do it, and we would have more time for our counted work if we didn't do it. But honestly, when I think back over my career here and the meaningful interactions that I've had with students and the way that has enriched my life as an academic, as a community member, as a mother, it's these lasting relationships with the students and being able to be a part of their work that I think about. They have counted to me enormously. So now I'm going to get all like choked up, sorry. I love my students. So I'll end by saying that you guys all came to graduate school because you believed that something was important enough to devote 2 years or 5 years or 10 years, or maybe even your whole life to. And maybe that was chemistry or history or education or geography, whatever. For many of you, this desire to devote your life to this comes from a desire to change the world, to make it a better place, to help people in the many and varied ways that this is possible. And what you've studied at Ohio University is a path to doing that. But how do we do this? How do we actually change the world? As much as I wish I did, I don't have the answer to this question. If I did have the answer, this would be the best commencement speech ever. But it's only the second best now. But anyway, I think that to think about changing the world, we have to start by thinking about counting. And we have to think about, what if we fought against metrics in our workplace, in our organizations, in our governments that refuse to recognize what's important to us? What if we fought for metrics that reflected our values? You may or may not feel like you're in a position to do this yet, but someday you all will be. So keep asking yourself this question. Does this count? But make sure that you're asking the right person. So instead of asking your professor, your employer, the state, whoever, ask yourself, what counts? Who do you want to be? What kind of world do you want to live in? What and how we count creates the people and society that we become. Thank you, and congratulations once again.
What a compelling speech about building caring, meaningful relationships with students, because that's commitment is out and among all of our faculty at Ohio University. And I can't thank you enough, Dr. Whitson, for articulating it so beautifully. Let's give him one more hand. Graduates, each of you is achieving a personal milestone of your own today. And each of you has had special support in achieving your educational goal. For many, it was your parents. For others, it was your spouse or significant other, your children or family members, perhaps your colleagues or your very good friends. They were there for you every step of the way, believing in and encouraging you when you yourself may have had doubts. Graduates, before we award the degrees you've worked so very hard to earn, please take just a moment to stand and say thank you to everyone in the audience who has supported you during this educational endeavor. Truly one of the sweetest moments in the ceremony. Thanks again. Regardless of your approach, your graduation truly represents what lives within you. Passion, determination, and hope all brought you to this moment. Whatever your path, each of you has brought unique characteristics and special talents to Ohio University, and you have made our university richer by your presence. For that, we thank you. Congratulations, graduates. I now invite to the podium Dr. Joseph Shields, Vice President for Research and Creative Activity and Dean of the Graduate College. He will present the candidates for doctoral degrees.
Thank you, President DeScutner. The Doctor of Philosophy, Doctor of Education, Doctor of Audiology, and Doctor of Physical Therapy are the highest academic degrees in their fields granted by American universities. They are awarded to those who have demonstrated academic or clinical mastery in their field and successfully completed and defended a dissertation. The faculty member accompanying the doctoral candidate is either the student's major advisor or another faculty member who has been closely associated with the student's academic program. Candidates for Doctor of Philosophy, Doctor of Education, Doctor of Audiology, and Doctor of Physical Therapy degrees, please stand. President Discuttner, these students have completed all the requirements for their doctoral programs. Accordingly, I have the very great honor of presenting them to you for conferral of their degrees.
On the recommendation of the faculty and by the authority vested in me by the Ohio University Board of Trustees, I confer upon you the degree Doctor of Philosophy, Doctor of Education, Doctor of Audiology, or Doctor of Physical Therapy, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. We welcome you into the company of scholars.
Candidates for Doctor of Philosophy, Doctor of Education, Doctor of Audiology, and Doctor of Physical Therapy degrees, please come forward.
Jennifer Pullen, escorted by Dr. Joseph McLaughlin. M. Renee Benham, escorted by Dr. Joseph McLaughlin. Vincent Robert Farrellow, escorted by Dr. Donald Miles. Dennis Allen Roberts, escorted by Dr. Stephen C. Bergmeyer. Maxim Y. Lifshitz, escorted by Dr. Hugh H. Richardson. Ritobrato Basu, escorted by Dr. John J. Kopchik. Stephen Thomas Wills, escorted by Dr. John Brobst. Tyler Esno, escorted by Dr. Chester Patch. Darren Allen Simmons, escorted by Dr. Alexei Davidov. Frank A. Ballone, escorted by Dr. Todd Iceworth. Michael Perrin, escorted by Dr. Todd Eisworth. Nicholas Lowell Compton, escorted by Dr. Kenneth Hicks. Shamim Akhtar, escorted by Dr. Carl Brune. Susil Dakal, escorted by Dr. Carl Brune. Sai Teja Pusuluri, escorted by Dr. Horacio Castillo. Pratish Kumar Jakala, escorted by Dr. Martin E. Cordish. Anup Pandey, escorted by Dr. Martin Cordish. Arben Tapalia, escorted by Dr. Daniel R. Phillips. Sarah Gracie Taylor, escorted by Dr. Mark Alec. Stephanie Marie Smith, escorted by Dr. Keith Markman. Thank you, Dean Frank. Kingsley Angchi Bosiako, escorted by Dr. Steve Howard. Benedine Azanu, escorted by Dr. Steve Howard. Jeremy Sachs, escorted by Dr. Carson B. Wagner. Justin Rudnick, escorted by Dr. Devika Chavla. Thank you, Dean Titsworth. Nasiha Arif, escorted by Dr. Teresa Franklin. Hayam Abu Al-Srar, escorted by Dr. Teresa Franklin. Jeffrey Kuhn, escorted by Dr. Greg Kessler. Mohammed Smahi, escorted by Dr. Greg Kessler. Jeffrey Tagg Wise, escorted by Dr. William Larson. Allison Bopp Labar, escorted by Dr. Lena J. Landmark. Michael Dennis Eicher, escorted by Dr. Leonard Allen. Patty Ann Main, escorted by Dr. Chrisana Mactimus. Jason Daniel Rawls, escorted by Dr. Dewan V. Robinson. Elizabeth Bennett, escorted by Dr. Laura Harrison. Elizabeth Ann Marie Klein, escorted by Dr. Peter Mather. Colette May Masterson, escorted by Dr. Peter Mather. Rebecca Zuspin, escorted by Dr. Peter Mather. Danny Twilley, escorted by Dr. Peter Mather.
Good morning.
Sharonda Cooper, escorted by Dr. Peter Mather. Leah Marie Turner, escorted by Dr. David Horton, Jr. Maureen Doyle Scarf, escorted by Dr. Yegan Pillay. Shannon Gordon Venezia, escorted by Dr. Lee Jing Young. Bridget Asepapa, escorted by Dr. Christine Butt. Danielle Geigel, escorted by Dr. Mona Robinson. Robert L. Stevens, escorted by Dr. Mona Robinson. Brian L. Bethel, escorted by Dr. Mona Robinson. Kendra Lorin Jackson, escorted by Dr. Mona Robinson. Jacqueline Jo Yawn, escorted by Dr. Franz Doppen. Thank you, Dean Middleton. Shell Han, escorted by Dr. Terry Masada. Mohammed Al-Mahamdi, escorted by Dr. Jeffrey Dill. Jingzhou Wang, escorted by Dr. Wojciech Jadwiszenczek. En Yi, escorted by Dr. Chang Liu. Thank you, Dean Irwin. Jenna Ann Altamonte, escorted by Dr. Charles Buchanan. Thank you, Dean Sayers. Andrew Foley, escorted by Dr. David Ingram. Thank you, Dean Shields. Garrett Neil Mayhew, escorted by Dr. Fu Cheng Zheng. Mallory Lee Marcis, escorted by Dr. Fu Cheng Zheng. Allison Burrell, escorted by Dr. Nicole Brandis. Megan Presley, escorted by Dr. Rebecca Meyer. Jennifer Michael, escorted by Dr. Brandy Nance. Rachel Caroline Schmetzer, escorted by Dr. Brandy Nance. Carissa Marie Gilmore, escorted by Dr. Brandy Nance. Caitlin Rose Higgins, escorted by Dr. Gary Claybone. Zachary Kinnick, escorted by Dr. Gary Claybone. Jennifer Renee Siemens, escorted by Dr. Gary Claybone. Megan Marie Gill, escorted by Dr. Gary Claybone. Brooke Smith, escorted by Dr. Gary Claybone. Rebecca Crouch, escorted by Dr. Ashley Crow. Anna Chelsea McKenzie, escorted by Dr. Ashley Crow. Nicole Marie Hornbeck, escorted by Dr. Ashley Crow. Noelle Diebolt, escorted by Dr. Janice Howman. Emily Helen Kaufman, escorted by Dr. Janice Howman. Michelle Renee Kelly, escorted by Dr. Janice Howman. Andrew Leoy, escorted by Dr. Janice Howman. James Wackerly, escorted by Dr. Janice Howman. Aaron Joseph Guy, escorted by Dr. Michelle Courtney. Kelsey Marie Musson, escorted by Dr. Michelle Courtney. Elaine Brittany Sambuco, escorted by Dr. Michelle Courtney. Cody Williams Shabola, escorted by Dr. James Thomas. Emily Rose Ellerbrock, escorted by Dr. James Thomas. Sarah Grace Johnson, escorted by Dr. James Thomas. Ryan Kaya, escorted by Dr. James Thomas. Rachel Putoff, escorted by Dr. James Thomas. Cody Uriah Smith, escorted by Dr. James Thomas. Brooke R. Berlin, escorted by Dr. Betty Sindelar. Matthew Leoy, escorted by Dr. Betty Sindelar. Sarah Elizabeth Vinson, escorted by Dr. Betty Sindelar. Dana Tomasello, escorted by Dr. Betty Sindelar. Ryan Blankenship, escorted by Dr. Brooke Vaughn. Kyle Patrick O'Donnell, escorted by Dr. Brooke Vaughn. Kevin George Peterson, escorted by Dr. Brooke Vaughn. Jenna Elizabeth Reichman, escorted by Dr. Brooke Vaughn. Frank White Baker Jr., escorted by Dr. Bentley Andrew Krause. Natalie Ann Halchik, escorted by Dr. Bentley Andrew Krause. Kaylee McKell Quinter, escorted by Dr. Bentley Andrew Krause. Paige Alexandra Prado, escorted by Dr. James Odenthal. Megan Rochelle Swain, escorted by Dr. James Odenthal. Alexis May Kanzig, escorted by Dr. James Odenthal. Denise Boyd, escorted by Dr. Robert Wayner. Clinton Boring, escorted by Dr. Robert Wayner. James Christoffel, escorted by Dr. Robert Wayner. Kevin Yu, escorted by Dr. Robert Wayner. Recording. Nicole Christine Fluharty, escorted by Dr. David Russ. Sarah Rolero, escorted by Dr. David Russ. Jeanette Marie Witherspoon, escorted by Dr. David Russ.
It is now my honor to present the candidates for master's degrees. Candidates, will you please rise? President DeScutner, these candidates have completed all of the requirements for their master's programs at Ohio University. I therefore have the privilege of presenting them to you for conferral of their degrees.
On the recommendation of the faculty and by the authority vested in me by the Ohio University Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you the degrees of Master of Arts, Master of Business Administration, Master of Communication Technology and Policy, Master of Education, Master of Engineering Management, Master of Financial Economics, Master of Fine Arts, Master of Health Administration, Master of Information and Telecommunications Systems, Masters of Music, Master of Public Administration, Master of Public Health, Master of Science, Master of Social Science, Master of Social Work, and Master of Sports Administration, with all the privileges and responsibilities pertaining thereto. Congratulations, and please be seated until you are called to the stage by Dr. Shields.
Candidates for master's degrees in the College of Fine Arts, please come forward.
Linda Marie DeBernardo. Nien Chen Lin.
Joseph Robert Huff Southoff.
Wenting Deng.
Nathan Benjamin Davis.
Maria Renee Mignoni.
Fernanda Suarez da Cunha.
Jose Esteban Nunez.
Sarah Kaddish.
Haley Danielle Kathleen McQuirk.
Jean Yi Liu.
Catherine Wax Weingarten.
Rachel Francesca Bykowski.
Meredith Elise Kelly.
Kramer Davis Diddy.
Tina Vu.
Lois Alexandra Perkins.
Brianna Corgle.
Ming Yuan Yuan.
Anthony Marcus Bruno.
Faith Elisa Moore.
Danette Pratt.
Tiansen Wu.
Mohammed Javed Farhang.
Candidates for master's degrees in the Voinovich School of Leadership and Public Affairs, please come forward.
Zebulon Isaac Martin.
Michael Andrew Lockman.
Alexander M. Jones.
Alex Norton Burke.
Stevie Joe Roberts.
Eileen Weiser,
Kristen Michelle Riley,
Tui Ti Tan Ho,
Catherine Marie Schuster,
Azamat Tashev,
Kyle Robert Dunn,
Donald R. Brooks,
Kathleen Marie Vandervaart,
Daniel Kisuna Mwanya,
Noha Vaziha Ikwe,
Sebastian Ellis Tees,
Nabanita Talakard,
Valeska Catalina Silva Vasquez,
Salma Alakozai,
Anna Elizabeth Palmer,
Anna K. Crystal Rowe,
Abrar Abdullahi Almaki,
Anthony Stephen Talbert,
Carrie L. Whitman,
Paige Lee Clunk,
Jennifer Nicole Yerke,
Molly Hapir Hajar,
Garrett Elizabeth Weber,
Megan Ann Weber,
Brian Zachary Reet,
John Daniel Oswald,
Lowell McIntyre Jacobs,
Gabrielle Ann Wannell, Jessica Marie Holliday, Gary Edward Smith,
Candidates for master's degrees in the College of Arts and Sciences, please come forward.
Zebediah Dameron Gaunt,
Ellen Elizabeth Haynes,
Chelsea Lynn Hustis,
Mohammed Casey,
Philip Jerome Jarbo,
Sofia Fernandez,
Gregory Edward Pryor,
Maria Sanz Taus,
Ariel Christina Hodges,
Irene Soto Lucena,
Catherine Bialis,
Andrea Carril Garcia,
Brendan N. Hunstad,
Ramon Abraham Mendez,
Samantha K. Hartzell,
Hadassah Petita,
Sayre Lloyd Donley,
Ethel Sefakor Agbemafo,
Eric James Boomershine,
Man Yang,
Daniel Eugene McKay,
Mahmoud Ali,
Caitlin H. Shaw,
Cassidy Lynn Hunkler,
Lauren Lindsay Lowe,
Natalia Kavum,
Haley R. Murdoch,
Selikem Gota,
Chad Allen Gorgons,
Akmal Igbagmov,
Kelly Marie Butler,
James David Maxwell,
Jennifer Lou Carnes,
Shauna Alicia Torrington,
Eric William Gibbs,
Tetiana Bakovska,
Yuan Rajiv Ipa,
Magdalene Oguti Akiding,
Srilak Dilmani Pereira,
Arturo Satish Caballo Guillen,
Dana Marie Williams,
Yu Dong,
Angela Michelle Chapman,
Allison Claire Thornton,
Sabrina Rosliana Paskowitz Drew,
Maxwell Afria Numako,
Meredith Kathleen Stone,
Julie Jabang,
Tao T. Hien Bui,
Min Twing Nguyen,
Di Cao,
An Tran Tien Dang,
King Louis,
Eunice Owusu Yabwa,
Amna Abdulaziz Al Amir,
Shelby Jane Martin,
Upaku Onoisnaya Grace,
Matthew Ross Perlman,
Arianju Toyin,
Jing Wang,
Bismarck Odyssey,
Ying Chu,
Robert Tanner Bivens,
Francis Kwashi,
Austin John Andrews,
Natapon Umralatskul,
Nigel Evan Cambridge,
Ashley Hope Palone,
Samuel Dungu Joy,
Gayani Tenakum, Colleen Nicole Carmen, Mara Mohammed Al Salem, Otto Joshua Shaw, Andrew Josiah Dees, Chao Tzu, Chao Zhang, Cesar Antonio Lopez Castillo, Ikena Wadju, David Avornio, Tanya Ann Maynard, Thomas Nicholas Tiberio, Elizabeth M. Akin, Devon Suzanne Murphy, April Marie Fuller, Lindsay Elise Fisher, Tanner Allen Sebastian, Spencer James Smith, Jessica Lynn Kogar, and Sean Lehman Mers.
Candidates for master's degrees in the College of Business, please come forward.
Bianca Leosha Murray Saxon.
Hashem H. Catanaya.
Megan Newman.
Ethan Wayne Hawkins.
Arshel Juanita Moore.
Shanta Marie Green.
Amanda M. Osman.
William Allen Barnhart.
Shady Osman.
Shabazz Khan.
Michael Charles Pelfrey.
Rochelle Danette Levy.
Frank Gordon Schaefer.
Diana Caldwell.
Paige Michelle Wells.
Trenton Joe Keebaugh Davis.
Abby Michelle Valliston.
Randall Shane Decker.
Ryan Smalley.
Kirk David Hillebrand.
Chad N. Todd.
Brian R. Burning.
Nathan Douglas Notke.
Eric Michael Braniff.
Glenn Edward Schembeckler III.
David Lionel Lewis.
Christopher John Rogers.
Christopher Robert Hunter.
Melanie Dawn Turner.
Nathaniel Christian Hall.
Matthew Lincoln White.
Nathaniel DeLuca Baroni III.
Terrence Thomas.
Viviana Cohas.
Alexandra Jean Speck.
Arvind Chandra Karan.
Tom Marshall Strobel.
Jennifer Marie Alicia.
Joshua Adam Stav.
Rod Dickerson.
Harrison Gordon McIntyre.
Justin B. Kazubal.
Francesco Marini.
Tammy Lee.
Craig D. Matzinger.
Carson Donnie Duggan.
Brian Andrew Swift.
Craig Boggs.
William Matthew Thiel.
Matthew Cole Gilmore.
Dana Heath Murray.
Seth Robert Everhart.
Marie Annette Sandy.
Chris A. Adams.
Grant William Martinez.
Joshua Robert James Law.
Manuel Martinez.
Max Gerald Dittmer.
Robin Lee Thompson.
Kelly Ann Johnson.
Mark Daniel Zebold.
Katie Marie Foglia.
Gergana Stefana Slavotska.
Kaylee Ann Beecham.
Stacy Naomi Schuster.
Aspen Christine Etchelmeyer.
John Richard Roll.
Kyle Harry Kashuk.
Jordan E. Gotke.
Joshua Darrell Bajomo.
Seema Akun.
Emmanuel Destin Kerr Brown.
Crystal L. Smith.
Grant Anthony Canning.
Tiffany A. Rutherford.
Kiki Cunningham.
Lindsay Nicole Vigorito.
Shauna Ray Happel.
Melanie Elaine Qualls.
Drew Mitchell Fuelmiller.
Adam James Ross.
Valerie Alyssa Dunlap.
Elliot Edward White.
Roshni Stella Bastian.
Nathaniel Brian Reynolds.
Lee Leslie Hicks.
Seth Joseph Carroll.
Laura Elaine Alloway.
Jerry J. Sauls.
Andrew Trevor Davis.
Thomas Robert Regovich.
Yulila Valerianda Beklova.
Rafik Malouf.
Janet Lee Cox.
Joshua Daniel Shepard.
Tatiana Grosu.
Jennifer Murray Russell.
Allison Nicole Stalter.
Aubrey Christine Humphreys Peter.
Jacqueline Christine Buff.
Archie Vincent Spangler Jr.
Megan Marie McCormick.
John Roger Tipton.
Jenna Lee Howry.
Roberto McLean.
Jamaica R. Keys.
Mary Benson.
Malia Jean Kendrick.
Corey Ellen Stenzel.
Grace Elizabeth Lange.
Sarah Beth Frederick.
Yishang Zhang.
Aaron D. Carter.
Cecily Marie Utsi.
Nishant Kilnani.
Deborah Louise Spike Pierce.
Kelly Ann Majessi.
Candidates for master's degrees in the Scripps College of Communication, please come forward.
Cici Tao,
Xiao Wen Ma,
Mao Zhang,
Blake Drummond, Haley Kennedy,
Margaret Ann Sabeck,
Tony Doman,
Emily Zarek, Kimberly Carol Barlog,
Bahast Nader Saber,
Vivian L. Small,
Daniel Tuam Gamra,
Lydia Williams,
Wilson Okusan,
Chad M. Weissman,
Clovis Kemptu,
Kutwano Beverly Mogwathi,
Rachana Thandra,
Preston James Ray,
Cody Scott Lynn,
John Michael Simpson, Mitzi Beth Trentacosti, and Stevie Nicole Miller.
Candidates for master's degrees and the Gladys W. and David H. Patton College of Education, please come forward.
Victor L. Davidson,
Andrew Joseph Ansel,
Stephanie Rain McCombs,
Nicole Brooke Jackman,
Erica Marie Stein,
Shannon Christina Beard,
Nicole Ann Saunders,
Caitlin Michelle Bailey,
Lily Ann Roberts,
Madeline Elizabeth Baldwin,
Kayla Nicole Malloy,
Joseph Nicholas Liptrap,
Brianna Sheridan,
Danielle Christine Ware,
Stephanie M. Hunter Mihelich,
Haley Elizabeth Munns,
Shannon R. Manilak,
Cheyenne Beechler,
Olivia Ann Tomlin Pocus,
Allison Jill Frulo,
Christina Ann Ford,
JD A. Gilmore,
Sarah Rose Stitt,
Eileen M. Delahanty Schultz,
Alexandra Lorraine Rue,
Allison Elizabeth Bursick,
Heather Suzanne Wills,
Jordan Nicole Griggs,
Kelly Marie Wanamaker,
Emily Kate Wolf,
David Mark Donnelly,
Mohammed Abdullah El Abdullatov,
Haley Alicia Queen,
Danielle Elizabeth Cochran,
Catherine Michelle Wares,
Amanda Jane Dunlap,
Brandy Nicole Meyer,
Elif Seviker,
Andrew Thomas Arnold,
Tuba Geezer,
Tim Prangi,
Nicholas Joshua Antonuccio,
Paul Terry Tsavesti Jr.,
Benjamin Vernon Vincent Braddock,
Renee J. Burley,
David Mark Dennison,
Sarah Parrish Vogel Hake,
Leanne Nicole Ketchum,
Erica Lynn Brown,
Joshua Benjamin Wright Barkley,
Julia Suzanne Moncrief,
Eslam M. Abuhamid,
Chelsea Marie Von Pagels,
Alex David Molnar,
Tessa Marie Smith,
Patrick Henry Clarkson,
Taylor E. Snyder,
Elizabeth Marie Haurigi,
Jade Marie Hunt,
Jordan Alexandra Wellman,
Kenna Mae Reynolds,
Sarah Tucker Jenkins,
Lexi Nicole Miller,
Keenan Bruce Hamilton,
Megan Elizabeth Minton,
Laura Edwards Burkhead,
Adrienne Renee Starheim,
Michael John Davenport,
Ashley Nicole Witzgall,
Benjamin Farrell Justice,
Ashley Marie Perry,
Brian Carbajal,
Sarah Nicole Andrews,
Michael Anthony Holt,
Natasha Lee Menrisky,
Jessica Ann Wallace Weaver,
Alexandria Francis Snoke,
Kelsey Kathleen Driscoll,
Ariana Mackenzie Yant,
Monica Lynn Gwilem,
Madeline Eileen Holthouse,
Amanda K. Dalton,
Sarah Lynn Thomas,
Stephen Scott Hegnauer,
Elizabeth Kate Meeks,
Sarah Christine Dummett,
Troy Nicholas Tiemann,
Elizabeth Susan Atwell Brumley,
Alyssa Ann Rule,
Leah Victoria Cornish,
Sydney Lene Noel Weimer,
Jacqueline Duty Levinsky,
Kellen Matthew Williams,
Jaquitha L. LaDuff,
Javanto Primo Van Hemert,
Victoria Andrea Little,
Kirk Michael Simpkins,
Sandy A. Lee,
David Stender,
Yasar Noor Debdegloglu,
Mark Lester Powell,
Chelsea Elizabeth Hayes,
Mansoor Femi Mustafa,
David Harris,
Ki Chin Leung,
Levi Benjamin Funk,
Tessa Joanne Molina,
Aaron M.E. Haynes,
Anthony Douglas Moose,
Tia Sherry Jameson,
Mark Andrew Schwitzgable,
Alvaro Basfar,
Connor R. Schulteis,
Andelka Tansik,
Alina Jude Luciana,
Haley Alexandra Kane,
Olivia T. Mayfield,
Samantha Julia Balsby,
Carolina Margaret Catalano Truco,
Kristen Victoria Winkle,
Yelena Tanchik, Haley Eileen Zufeld Baxter, Christina Catherine McEwen,
Candidates for master's degrees in the Fritz J. and Dolores H. Rush College of Engineering and Technology, please come forward.
Mahendra Nath Chowdhury Mandadupo,
Evan William Holcomb,
Daniel Edward Karch,
Tyler Andrew Collins,
Stephen Nicholas Sparks,
Shita Dakshina Murthy,
Jamie Elias Acuna Benavente,
Chigozi Namdi Daiki,
Akansha Rohit,
Joseph C. Cyrus,
Marilyn Elizabeth Safey,
Alexandra Markovich Graf,
Denton James Ozen,
Michael Francis Giuliano,
Mohammed Jafari Tirani,
Nicholas Elwin Manella,
Zara Galamanzan,
Mohammed Hussein Feroznia,
Collier Robert Feiss,
Kyle James Myers,
Jessica Ann Belzer,
Zachary J. Swallen,
Arvind Chandra Sakaran,
Miguel Alejandro Sempertegui Sosa,
Azadeh Sadegh,
Scott Elliott Van Winkle,
Ruhola Yons Sinaki,
Chimaya Reddy Naguri,
Alyssa Claire Budenote,
Abhilash Raikur,
Nicholas Andrew Laurie,
Asish Kumar Gadipati, Cody Dale Kaddish, Casey J. Davis, Maud Rifat Khan.
Candidates for master's degrees in the College of Health Sciences and Professions, please come forward.
Nathan John Milliken,
Mitchell Kurt McKay,
Lauren Marie Kakia,
Maureen Ann Carney,
Aaliyah Morgan Ware,
Tapezda Srilezzo,
Matthew Adam Roush,
Carl Lawrence Sani,
Allison Nicole Jackson,
Lee Smith,
Rachel Elizabeth Navarro,
Camille Ann Zoller,
Patricia Michelle Estock,
Kelly Ann Leonard,
Sarah Caitlin Miko,
Lance Eric Richards,
Todd Sable,
Amelia Iverson Milton,
Kyle Douglas Hosier,
Jessica Lynn Martin,
Austin Aaron Martinez,
Alexander Joseph Ryman,
Emily Catherine Griswold,
Seth Allen Hunter,
Caitlin Ann Brown,
Kristen Renee Maynard,
Paige Nicole Milkey,
Mackenzie Marie Marinello,
Amber Jo Schitter,
Carolyn Grace Van Meter,
Megan Donna Richardson,
Morgan Lee McDonald,
Elizabeth Mary Margaret Saunders,
Victoria Margaret Flynn,
Nicole S. Fazo,
Lauren Jeffries,
Erica Kathleen Lee,
Kaylee Rose Bavard,
Natalie Marie Reynolds,
Hannah Elizabeth Dearbaum,
Wendy Michelle Gutierrez,
Nicole Moira McCullough,
Kimberly Couch,
Madeline Copper,
Dorothy Jean Berry,
Jessica Lynn Applesley,
Kimberly Ann Butler,
Heather Lauren Ham,
Alicia Ann Griner,
Shelby Ray Roberts,
Nicole Chappelle,
Allie Estelle Summers,
Philip Scott Gregg,
Christine Marie Estremera,
Alexandria Marie Farrer,
Thea Marie Nyheiser,
Hannah Johnson,
Alexis Renee Magoto,
Caitlin Elise Dennison,
Rachel Christine Curry,
Shun Day,
Margaret Ann Dietz,
Haley Luann Cottons,
Tyler Robert Roman,
Anna Marie Anna,
Rebecca Myers Hoffman,
Alexandria Leanne Goff,
Samantha Aaron Biarski,
Jasha J. Harris,
Mallory Suzanne Hoff Jones,
Christina Marie Randolph,
Jessica Fitz,
Christina Marie Hubbard,
Sarah Dorsky,
Francisca Leakey,
Catherine Lynn Alto,
Michelle Nicole Huffman,
Donna Susan Goodwin,
Jennifer Louise Bryant,
Ludmila Zilotska,
Holly Deanne Pierce,
Elena Teresa Gonzalez,
Jessica Jane Sibanek,
Emily Beth Gatrell,
Kayla Van Malderen,
Michelle Marie Newman,
Jennifer Fermelin,
Kristen Marie Davis, Catherine Sue Reeder,
Ludwilla Katsko,
Heidi Michelle Hess,
Kimberly Roberta Hatcher,
Ludi Caballero,
Kayla N. Geller,
Catherine Joy Bush,
Catherine Shea Collins Wagner,
Sylvia Jean Bailey,
Laura Kathleen Cobb,
Angela Marie Hartman,
Patricia Ann Hackenberg,
Lauren Beth Turner,
Elora Marie Sokach,
Fiti Andom Mbe,
Michelle Renee Danielle Dillo,
Angela Renee Dyke,
Noelle Elizabeth Singer,
Gabrielle Elaine Taylor,
Marion Ruth Valentine,
Courtney Alexis Miller,
Janelle Nicole Brunswick,
Hannah Leanne Deal,
Maggie Elizabeth Summers,
Rachel Ann Bishop,
Natalie Nadine Bilinovich,
Kelsey Lene Wallen,
Amanda Gail Wallace,
Robin Dawn Waugh,
Samantha S. Klein,
Julie Stalford,
Renee Lynn Hiles,
Kelly Suzanne Hill,
Cassandra Clifton,
Christine Marie Killian,
Ellie Kate Johnson,
Mackenzie Jillian Roman,
Kelsey Lee Henserroth,
Audrey Lynn Brill,
Kristen Ann Gillette,
Janice Elaine Overmeyer,
Tamara T. Pillay,
Tiffany Renee Sims,
Sargina Engel, Joshua Aaron Adkins,
Candidates for master's degrees in the Center for International Studies, please come forward.
Ki Ying Ju,
Xiao Wang,
Oluwabukola Anuolapu Shaba,
Makodu Fall,
Vola Morlaska,
Kumba Bowery,
Deepali Sharma,
Gloria Ama Edu Frimpong,
Nadine Chitra Sanchara,
Dorcas Anima Donker,
Jonathan Tavelde,
Frederica Jackson,
Madrin Mukulegiza,
Helena Yibao,
Bruna Aparecida Pereira,
Senghuo Lom,
Sharif Abdul Wahab,
Wei Ling Fong,
Pierluigi Di Francesco,
Gabriela Fuentes,
Anthony Joseph Capel II,
Julia M. Flint,
Noura Abu Bakar,
Fatu Zhang,
Benedictus Kosi Amuji,
Balkissa Doada Diallo,
Kofi Agei Larbi,
Jessica Leah Arnold,
Mavis Adwan Kansa, Jaruga Amadou Jola,
Congratulations, graduates. Ladies and gentlemen, I now ask you to stand and please join Ms. Alexandra Perkins, accompanied by the Ohio University Wind Symphony, our fine faculty, university officials, honored guests, and most especially our graduates in a long-standing tradition, the singing of the Ohio University alma mater.
Please be seated. As we conclude the 2017 graduate commencement ceremony, I wish to leave you with a quote from the back of the Alumni Gateway, the side that you see as you exit main campus and head toward Uptown Athens. It goes, "So depart, that daily thou mayest better serve thy fellow man, thy country, and thy God." It is with that charge that we and the entire Ohio University family across the globe bid you farewell and congratulate you, the members of the class of 2017, on this most significant milestone. The marshals now will lead the platform party, faculty, and graduates from the arena. We ask that the audience remain seated until the conclusion of the recessional. Following the completion of the recessional, the Ohio University graduate commencement ceremony will stand adjourned.